We're recording again. So how do you think you're living out your charism? Because now you're here, at least temporarily. How do you live out your charisms in this environment?
In this one here, I try to pay special attention to the sisters that are really here as patients. To be interested in what they do, to somewhat sit at the breakfast table with one of them and listen to how her night ran, and to talk to another one about baseball, which I have no interest in whatsoever. But I also am interested in Sister Loretta, because I can have some good conversations with Loretta, and she's very considerate of me. Like, she prepared for me a whole list of dates till the next year, you know, and we talk about different, it's probably a bad way of thinking of, but more intelligent things. And then I have a very grave and serious interest in Lois, because she's so good to everyone, and she's very good to me. And I also try with her to bring forth some of the qualities I know she must have, but has not brought forth.
Mm-hmm. What first led you to the servants?
Pardon?
How did you first end up connected to the servants of the Holy Heart of Mary?
Oh, well, that's a longer story. My mother died, and I was the oldest of 4 children. She died of childbirth. And my father looked for some sisters who would take us. And we did go someplace, but they didn't want to take my little brother. My other brother that was a baby went with one of my aunts. And so he and my grandfather had men working for him who had children in Mantino. And so they decided that they would try that. So they put our clothes in a car, piled us in, 3 of us, 2 girls and a boy, and went. And we got there, and the sisters were very gracious, but they did not want to take my little brother. He was too little. And my father was not about to separate us. But an old sister by the name of Sister Alexi, who worked in the lingerie room, said, "I'll take him and I'll put him in a basket." And then we stayed.
Kind of like Moses.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that's how I know all those older sisters. Oh.
Sure. Amazing story.
You know, when we go through the cemetery at Beaverville, Johanna can tell us something about almost about every single one of the sisters laid to rest there.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible.
Unreal.
So that's how I got to know the nuns. And then my father remarried, and we stayed home. But I was such a charming child, period, that he had married again. And my stepmother was very good. She wasn't an atrocious woman, but she found me hard to manage.
I can't imagine that's true.
And so they sent me back to Mantino, and I went 1 year in Mantino again, and then came home and never had any more difficulties.
What was the greatest challenge when you entered the convent?
I think I had 2. It was a great challenge for me to leave home. It was not easy for me to leave home, especially my father and my own brothers and sisters, and one sister. That was one. And the next greatest challenge was I knew I'd have to give up my freedom. And I'd be doing everything everybody else told me to do instead of doing what I wanted to do.
You're still struggling with that, aren't you?
Do I have to announce that on the tape? Yes, I am.
Oh, Johanna, you're such a blast.
What are your hopes for ministry moving forward?
Pardon me?
What do you hope to do for your ministries moving forward?
Well, I hope to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope just to love the people, which I really do.
Very good.
And I have a great sorrow, a really great sorrow. A woman I love very much because I love her as a person, but I also love her common sense, her reasoning, the guidance she does to other people. And it's going to be a great sorrow for me to have her go away. But that's life. God has taken away my whole family really young. The oldest was my dad, who was 83, but my mother was 29, my brothers were in their 20s, and my sister was 43, and now he's taking away a woman that I love very much.
Isn't that something? It's like he gave you their remaining years.
Yeah.
That's unusual to live that much longer than your siblings.
Yes.
That's unusual.
And when I go to a doctor, they say, well, you must have had a long family. And I said, well, I'll tell you.
Yeah. That's amazing. That really is.
Yeah, that is, because usually...
You know, my dad married again, and he married a woman who was a friend of my mother's, who had been married, and she had one son. And so I had one stepbrother.
If you could give any one piece of advice to young sisters, what would it be?
To remember that other people have their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own way of doing things. And to ask them sometimes to change it, but gently, remembering it's theirs. And we do not give up what we have that easily. At least I don't.
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
It is.
You have to, it's hard to give up. It's not hard to give up. Well, it's annoying to give up physical things, but it's very hard to give up intellectual things for me.
Yeah.
And even that, oddly enough, even as old as I am right now, if someone could say I could go to school just to sit, I would go.
Okay.
And learn.
Yeah.
Especially I would like to learn more in science and more in literature, both things which I studied.
Amazing.
So,
Indeed.
but remember, the biggest thing is I love people. I don't care who you are.
Amen.